Petrarca back to Rivers, misplaced handball, but it was too hot for a Shelley. Lever onto it. Now they're running through Lindsay. Out wide Van Rooyen. Couple goals under his belt. He'd like that kick again.
Well, there's a passage of 3 handballs there. None of them are perfect. They all went behind the play, and that put extra pressure on Van Rooyen's kick.
After the lefty, Worrell down the line. May did enough to deny Walker, and it's out again.
Well, he is having an absolute blinder right now, Stephen May. One of the best on the ground.
So 22 points the margin halfway through the second quarter. Thorpe and Van Rooyen do battle. Lindsay just fossicking around, got one on the bounce as well. And it's going to be a ball up.
It's only a couple of weeks ago here, Jared, that Stephen May got towed up by Mitch Georgiades. They kicked 6 on him against Port. He's been terrific today.
Yeah, he's been the absolute mainstay. A rock in that defensive area. One way to go though.
McVee, tunnel ball, grabbed by Smith, Fritsch all over him. Lever comes through, tight ropes the boundary in concert with Sparrow and out. So another good crowd in at Adelaide Oval. Sunny conditions, pretty still conditions, and it's been all Melbourne in all areas so far. As Lever tries to hunt it down, Rankin uses his body. Viney, little handball cut off. Going through them, Berry. That was beautifully done, but the kick pulled, and May in the right spot, playing really well.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Great bravery there. Talking about now.
Sun in the eyes for Bowie. You can see his teammate Sparrow. What great work by Berry. Provides the disruption. Rankin to Peatling and then to Mr. Nobody really. Back to Berry again. He's well protected by Thilthorpe. Gets the kick away, but the dive like it was in the gully by Viney. Made the spoil. Bowie a little untidy on the handball. Crows have up the ante here. Peatling found a way through. One man and one man only is kicking goals for the Adelaide Crows. But if you had to pick one, it'd be Isaac Rankin. He's kicked his third. 3 of their 4 have come off the boot. And the magic number 23.
Yeah, he's the one, isn't he? He's been playing a bit more time forward the last few weeks.
Yep.
Jared was probably more midfield early in the season, but just going forward to help their potency. He's the man that's kept him in the game at this stage. Not been able to get their hands on the ball. They really considered throwing him back into the midfield, but it's been electric ahead of it. It's a problem matchup now. Just can't give him too much space. Anywhere he goes, he'll use the most of the opportunities. Look at the space, but look how much space he's ahead of the ball, though, Jared. Rankin needs to be addressed, that matchup for Melbourne.
Yeah, he's kept them in it right now. Love the handball. Self-inflicted wound, though. Melbourne just had control of the ball on the wing and gave it back to Adelaide with poor kicking, poor decision to go wide, not hit a target.
He's the man. He's the man on Rankin. Needs to be tighter.
Gorn straight down to Petrarca, was hoping for Viney, was cut off by Saligo. Long ball to Walker. Bang, just like that.
They've dominated centre bounces this quarter. Around ground stoppages they've struggled, but 5-zip centre bounces. Tex was onto that.
Jake Saligo, 4 clearances, Browning.
Yeah. Good part of the good quarter in that part of the game.
So Taylor Walker looking to match his effort from last week in the first half here. From just inside the arc, he starts it right and through for a behind.
Well, missed opportunity there to go back to back. I just wonder whether Melbourne will learn from that last long switch that Rivers tried to effect. It hasn't been their long suit this season. They've been better when they've been trying to go the shorter switches.
He does go long on this kick. Gorn was the primary target. Help from Jefferson. And hinge underneath all of that. So margin back to 15. O'Brien straight to Oliver. Gorn. Lindsay. Turning on the left. And just a little strong and a little wide out of the foot.
trying to get involved in the game.
Not on the mark, so he takes the couple of extra metres on offer, and there's Turner again.
So Oliver's done a good job with Dawson, hasn't he? This quarter, Dawson hasn't touched it yet. Just seeing there.
Curtin just hurting his shoulder, and then was looking for high flies. I don't really understand that. Maybe just testing it out.
Ultimate team man.
Yeah, maybe. O'Brien hit that one, gave it a whack. Fritsch then cops his whack.
He's just trying to find the footy. Fritz just had a few touches. Being well and truly controlled at the moment.
Adelaide Premiership player Simon Goodwin, Premiership coach of Melbourne, of course. Viney carrying a big weight, the pressure and the tackle of Berry, and force the error. Hinge should be all Melbourne. Rivers got some much needed assistance from May, and they get out of it okay. England's kick is wide.
Good spread by Sparrow, yeah. You realise the turnover was going to come, so spread hard to the wing. That's what you need.
6 touches for Sparrow so far. They go laterally.
Turner, the Demons.
Lever.
We're getting out now, but they had one down the line as well, which I think was probably the preferred option. Going back here, they're getting set now, the Crows.
11th touch for Turner. Short to Lever. As a result, they're getting some raspberries from the locals. Now he's going to go long. Along the wing, attracts a crowd, up they go. Fritsch at the fall of the football, is hoping for Chandler. Cut off by Hinge, coming through Dawson. 3 of them tackle him and ball it up.
It just goes to show the pressure. Dawson, he thought he was clear, and then 3 guys jumped on him.
So a big 6 minutes coming up. Can Melbourne hold here? Adelaide with a little bit of momentum. It goes again. Braun flicked it behind. Only to Neil Bullen, who was tackled. Lindsay over the top. And another ball up.
Just the time where you put Dawson forward, Jared, just to test out Oliver's defensive capabilities.
It's a good idea, Brownie. You got Rankin you could throw into the middle as well, even though he's getting plenty in the front half.
Pretty quiet, little disgruntled up on the hill at the moment. Fluky bounce. In the end, Walker had more time than we would anticipate. Saliga. Keys wasn't quite ready for it, but didn't he adjust well? And the kick eventually got to 2 Crows. Saliga, they worked their way across Neil Bullen. And he thinks he's still playing for Melbourne. Kept it to Lever.
He got out of jail there, Melbourne. Neil Bullen had plenty of opportunity to hit that target. No pressure from behind, or not enough.
Easy with the footy. As the D's on their way out again. Just gets it to Langford safety.
It was precarious, wasn't it? Langford short to Oliver, not 15. So just forced off a step to Sky one. Gordon's going to have to work. Came from a long way back. Chandler took it to ground and Hinge wrapped it up.
And Bonnie's giving you plenty in and around the ball. Sometimes you kick that 8-metre pass they call play on, you end up kicking the long, which you don't want. There's a nasty collision for Dawson right in the back of the ear hole. And Max Gordon was a bit sore after that as well.
O'Brien down to Dawson, didn't seem to affect him too much. Darts one out to Rochelle, it's going to sit up beautifully. Wrong steps May, onto the right boot, centering ball, pulls the kick, Salem.
So that's 25 uncontested marks in their back half to 1 for Melbourne. Can they keep this going, do you think, for the whole game?
25 to 1.
Yeah, a bit of trouble here for Melbourne by the looks. Rube, Max is in a bit of strife.
Yeah, he was in that collision with Jordan Dawson as well, so he put on a brave face and went and did the next stoppage, but come straight off.
Salem forced to kick long down the line. They've been having a bit of trouble getting past here in the last few minutes, but they can this time through Viney, sort of anyway. Michael Laney had a long look in the air. Chandler did well, but it's coming back. Warrell collects, gave, back again to half forward. Walker stood his ground. What's the call on this?
Shepherd.
Yeah, Shepherd. It's a no.
It'll be interesting to see the replay.
He's put the brakes on. Impaired Taylor Walker, but interference quickly up.
Didn't get a lot of support on the Rashudo stand, that decision.
So here Melbourne are into their little chip stuff again. Back to Langdon, so just denying them the footy.
That's dried up in their forward line. The game's being played in the Crows' front half at the moment.
Langdon forced to go long this time.
It's a high one, that one. Does someone pluck it? Sparrow almost, and then retreats to the boundary.
Adelaide's kicking. Just see these collision. See where Max has got that knock. Dawson copped it as well.
So the remedial work on Big Maxi continues. Coming. Looks further afield. Hurried kick. Rochelle wasn't in the right spot, but Walker was. Can Walker tumble it through? He can. He's kicked 2. And they've just started to build some momentum late in this first half.
Well, that's what he can do, Tex. He does read the play when he's not in the marking contest. He's good front of square play, reads the play beautifully. It's a beautiful snapshot on both sides of the body. Just grinding their way back into the game here. Starting to win some around ground clearances there and taking their opportunities, which they didn't do earlier in the quarter. Just forced it forward there by coming. They just need to, as I said, they just went, we said, the last 5 minutes, they've just built some territory pressure on the Melbourne defenders. And eventually, the cracks will open.
Yeah, you just saw that, what's Stephen May, he's ball watching here instead of being text watching. And he got caught out. Rather than being side by side, he was thinking he was going to do the roving.
Feels a bit like they've been stoned into action, the Adelaide Crows. Passionately celebrated that goal. This is obviously critical to Melbourne's hopes. It means Van Rooyen has to ruck for now, and it's a clear mismatch in the middle against Riley O'Brien. Big numbers around the ball. Again, it's Saligo that provides the assistance. Keys' tumbling kick. Rochelle hasn't played a big part. Phil thought the same, and it's coming back. Oh, not enough. He thought he had. He thought he got it.
Floating.
He looks like he wants to come back on, Maxi. He looks fine.
That's the advantage of those 3 tools, isn't it, Brownie, when you've got Walker's kicked 2 today, Fogarty hasn't kicked 1 yet, or Thilthorpe.
Yeah, you just keep driving it to them. They can't get it over halfway the last 10 minutes.
No, they're working a lot harder now, the Crows.
Petrarca and Langford working in concert with each other. Petrarca takes on Laird and lost.
Yeah, much harder. Their pressure's right up. Melbourne outnumbered at each of these contests. More Crows jumpers at the scene than there is Melbourne jumpers.
Yeah, it's been a low tackle in quarter 6 tackles for Adelaide. Melbourne actually hasn't laid a tackle yet this quarter, surprisingly.
10th touch for Peatling, who's had a decent first half. Shallow entry inside 50, but it's to the tallest man on the ground, O'Brien, who just lopes after it, and then he goes short towards the pocket. Rochelle.
One of the toughest pockets to kick a goal for a right footer here, but Rochelle's got the skill to do it if anyone has.
And from ground level, not a lot of breeze room.
No, there's no breeze. So he could go with a drop punt if he wanted to, but he just have to nail it.
So his accuracy's been pretty good this year, Josh Rochelle, but this is no easy assignment. But what a lifter it would be towards half-time. Sprays it right.
Yeah, a lot of players these days, they tend to veer out on the right when they go in for a shot on goal. If you veer out to the right on that side, it makes it just about impossible, but he didn't hit that one right anyway.
Let's see if Melbourne can plot a successful path. Again, it's the same mode. It's very short and not much gaining of ground here.
And then Cozzy get back into the game. So he's gone missing the last 10 minutes.
Bowie feeds it out to the wing. Van Rooyen in the shuffle, butts. Socket forward by Viney and then chased after it. The hunt is on in the middle. Saligo.
He's had a good quarter, Saligo.
Angled that cleverly off the outside of the boot to Keys. Starting to get involved more regularly. Long to Rochelle. Now with work to do, takes him to ground. For a moment I thought he was hurt. He's just limping slightly. The clearing kick. Sparrow beat by
He's gone down, Rochelle.
They win it back to Keys from the point of the 50 to the square. And well done, Stephen May.
Yeah, Keats has been one of the missing elements. This doesn't look great.
Tried to get up. Thought he was okay, but
So often we see these knee injuries impacted by landing. Yeah, that one
extension.
wasn't great.
as you can see, play being stopped. Potentially the stretcher.
There's been two halves to this quarter, hasn't there, Jared? So Melbourne dominated the first 10 minutes. They obviously dominated clearance and territory, locked it in. It's some good goalkeeping. Adelaide have been able to turn the tables. Hopefully he's okay.
Do you think, Brownie, if your whole game is based on the uncontested mark, that you sometimes then lose a handle on the contest itself? Because Melbourne's lack of tackling and lack of pressure without the ball has sort of crept up on them. They were fine in the first quarter. Second quarter, they were dominating early in the piece. And when the Crows came to raise the bar, they didn't go with them. But
Not that you want to be relying on one player, but it's a problem when Cozzy Pickett is just so dynamic. And when he goes out of the contest for whatever reason, it really seems to affect them. It's on the left wing.
So he's moving slightly better now, putting a little bit of weight through there. So hopefully that says something.
We saw the effect on the coach, who's got a few more headaches now.
Well, he's such an important part of their forward line, isn't he? We look to know they're very talented up front.
Jogging now.
Yeah.
So you can argue the best forward line in the competition, most dangerous forward line. You put the sum of all the parts together, the talls and the dangerous smalls.
So Lockie Murphy is the sub for the Adelaide Crows. Long ball leaving D50. Van Rooyen couldn't reel it in. Chandler with the football taken to ground.
That's what I like about it though, Matt. I'm loving how he's launching at the ball. Van Rooyen, so he dropped back to the reserves last week, obviously lacking confidence. I'm loving the way he's launching and attacking the ball.
O'Brien, as far as soon as he kicked it, he knew that was going out of bounds on the full. It was going to be insufficient intent, one or the other, Bowie.
well, you're on the money on Oliver and Dawson, Brownie. He really curtailed him in this term alone, just the two possessions. Might be worth drifting forward.
Smith
In the third term.
They fly off hands. Keys. Can he tumble it through? It started left and stayed there. He wanted a bit of a vicious break on it. 35 seconds left and they've snuck back into it. There's only 5 points between them now.
Melbourne haven't had an inside 50 since their last goal. It's 12-0 since then, and Adelaide have kicked 2 goals, 5 in that time. So what might have been for both teams in both quarters, as you said, Brownie, it's split personalities this term. Rivers, can they get some forward momentum in the last 25 seconds? Saligo put a stop to that. Gorm back out there again. Maybe they can for Pickett. He tries the inverted taunt. 2 Crows, closest proximity. All Laurel.
There's a dump kick, that one from Cozzy.
Handball, he had numbers around him.
Fell over, lucky to get the handball away, and Pickett pops out.
That was a goal, actually. They had enough players to run that one through.
Handball chamber.
So half-time, and the Demons are in front. At one stage in that second quarter, they were absolutely dominating. Got out to a 28-point lead, but the Adelaide Crows able to fight right back. Get within 5 points. It'll be interesting to hear from Jordan Dawson, which we're going to get down to Rue in just a moment. Get the word from the Adelaide captain as he tries to make an assessment at the main break. It's Melbourne 6-7-43, leading the Crows 5-8-38. Rue.
Dawes, what are you feeling?
It's bloody good, so for us it's just about taking way too many hits and marks. So when we're up, makes the kids go off of it. So squeeze up the ground a little bit more when they've got the ball. They try to.
So the line to Jordan Dawson, just a little bit like some of the Crows play in that quarter. We will take a break. Half time, don't forget. It's bounce tonight. All the fun of the footy with Jason and the team. I'll turn it up. And then first crack.
All right, folks, there we go. Half time here at Adelaide Oval. We'll be back with the commentators not too far away, but it's the Melbourne leading the Crows 6-7-43, Adelaide 5-8-38. It's a 5-point margin here at half time. I tell you what, it was a close game up until quarter time. Melbourne came out of the blocks in that second term and absolutely tore Adelaide apart, but then Adelaide arrested the development of Melbourne, stemmed the tide and put on the next 3 goals to bring it back to a 5-point ball game and get back in this game. And tell you what, it's a nice day over there in Adelaide Oval. The sun's shining. Addy G. Live ladder Adelaide still 40. Let's stick the live ladder up there for Addy G. That is the live ladder. Exactly right, Adelaide. If they don't win this game, they'll still remain on 40. That's what everyone below Adelaide are hoping for. The Dogs, the Suns, the Giants and Freo all hoping Melbourne win today to keep that. I tell you what, this would be one of the biggest boilovers if Melbourne could actually get up. The problem is who has more inside 50s this game. We'll have a look at that in issue white. We'll have a look at that in just a second. This will be one of the biggest boilovers if Melbourne can actually get up and win. I didn't check the ins and outs. Let's have a look at that. Then we'll have a look at the stats. For Adelaide, coming into the team was Zach Taylor. Wayne Malera going out. Lachlan Murphy was the sub for Adelaide. Of course, for Melbourne, Jake Lever, Jacob Van Ruin coming in. Blake Howies and Harrison Petty going out. Harry Sharp is the sub. And, of course, the milestone game, there is only one. Of course, that is for Melbourne, Jacob Van Ruin. 50 games. Well done, sir, to you. There are your lineups. All right, let's go and check out some of these team stats and the goal scorers. Let me just reload this up because I didn't have time jumping over from the other game to this game. Let's have a look at this goal scorers. I tell you what, there's not many goal scorers up until half time. There's only a half a dozen total. And of course, for Adelaide, there's 2 goal scorers, and that's Isaac Ranke with 3 goals straight. And of course, Tex Taylor Walker, he's kicked 2 goals, 1. For Melbourne, Jacob Van Vuren in his milestone game, he's got 2 goals with Kaiser Pickett. And singles to Trent Rivers, Jake Melsham with singles there. Ryan, how you going? Addy G, what's going on? Koisy, how you doing? Of course, David's in the house. Albert's in the house as well. Good to see you, fellas. 54% tipping Melbourne to win this game. Mike, what are you doing? Well, I know. Some of the other ones, they want Melbourne to win. All right, we'll have a look at the inside 50s in just a moment. Top of the table, it's all Melbourne players leading the ladder here with disposal count up until half-time. Ed Langdon, I tell you what, he's a bit of a star for Melbourne. He's a great tagger, great player. 16 disposals, 13 kicks, 3 handballs, 5 marks. He's kicked that one behind. Not far behind him, Jake Viney, Trent Rivers, and Stephen May on 15. Salem 14, Petrarca had a good opening half as well. Not kicking quite straight, though, 14 touches. 3 behind. Kaiser Pickett, though, well, there we go. Ring-a-ding-ding, 13 touches, 2 clearances, 2 goals. Well done to him. All right, hey, we'll get I show white. Just give me a moment. We'll come back to the stats in a moment. Let's just head back down for a little bit of a wrap-up with the commentators of the opening half, and then we'll be back to continue with the stats.
5-8-38. David King and Brad Johnson. The D's kicked 1 goal 6 in that first term, and then in the first 12 minutes of the second quarter, they kicked 5 goals 1.
Yeah, quite amazing, really. When you look at the Adelaide Crows, the last 6 weeks have been the best defensive outfit in the competition. Best defensive D50, if you like, back 6, back 7, and the best at stopping the opposition moving the ball. So for them to concede 5 goals 1 from 6 inside 50s in the second quarter is amazing. And full credit to Melbourne for the way they moved the ball. And Kossie Pickett was probably the main architect of all that. He's become a scoring ATM, Kossie. You just get a return every time you turn it.
Well, do you know what? It's day number 1 of NAIDOC week. So much to celebrate over the next 7 days or so. And as you said, it was Kossie Pickett at one end, and then it was Isaac Rankin at the other end.
It was. And I was wrapped that Van Rooyen was able to get on the scoreboard a couple of times too, because it's a big probably month for Van Rooyen and what he can do for the Melbourne Footy Club.
as well. But I like their transition play. I thought it was good. First quarter, I thought 1 goal 6. Here we go again with Melbourne. They're going to get looks inside and not convert. So it was good they were able to turn it around, at least put some scoreboard pressure back on the Crows, who fought that strongly.
Rankin with the first 3 of the 4 they kicked. You love him. I mean, you're not the only one, David King, that loves him.
No.
You don't claim him as your own.
Matty Nix would be thankful that he's out there today,
Yes.
because he's been wayward. His kicking's been off for I reckon, the bulk of the year. He hasn't been the same Isaac we saw in the back half of 24, but he's fighting back. He wants to play more forward than midfield in this last sort of 6 to 7 weeks, and he's paying dividends today. Good to see him convert a couple of opportunities. And if McVie is going to be the designated tag, I suggest getting somewhere near him would be a starting point, because right now he's the only reason the Crows are back in this game.
Yep, couldn't agree more with that, and the fact that he's only had the 6 disposals, so it's ultimate effect on this game of footy at the moment with these 3 goals.
Okay, let's go down on the boundary line to Mark Rashudo and Roo. Stephen May has been a brick wall for the Crows, and they've struggled to penetrate him at times, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's his game for the season, certainly, that I've seen for Stephen May. Melbourne have had 10 intercept marks in the back half, which I think is the most of anyone for the season. Stephen May's taken 4 himself. I think he's taken 9 in total. His positioning's been really aggressive. It's been in front. I think he's been aided by some poor kicking by Adelaide as well. But so far, it's full marks to Stephen May. He is back to his absolute brilliant best. Adelaide is just, they'll be talking about this at halftime, because they've had 30 inside 50s to Melbourne's 21, and they just been haven't been them usual selves with their ball use. But let's see what they can do in the second half after they have a chat about it at half time.
Thanks for that, Roo. I mean, he's bang on, isn't he?
Well, he is. Total marks between May Turner and Lever sits at 26 in the game so far in a half of footy, which is a lot. I know a lot of half of those are chips around and assisting getting the ball out of the back half. But ultimately, they're in the game, those 3. So Lever's return has been quite strong, and I think Turner's been quite impactful.
If you're going to play 3 tall forwards in the forward line, Fogarty, Walker and Thilthorpe, then you can't allow the opposition to take 10 intercept marks and defensive 50, as Bruce said, number 1 for the year. That's just not on. Matty Nix would be furious with that return at half time.
Tex with 2 goals, Fogarty 0, Thilthorpe 0.
Okay, let's now welcome in David Zeta from the newsroom, and some big injuries, particularly one late in this half of footy, featuring a fan favourite for the Adelaide Crows. David Zeta, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Josh Rochelle, obviously a significant concern for him, having had the broken ribs earlier this season and now coming back and hyperextending the knee. Obviously some pretty significant concern when he went down in the way that he did. He didn't look to be in extraordinary pain, which is a good sign, at least early. He did come from the ground and eventually got into a jog and came from the ground with the help of trainers, and then went off under his own steam. So the Crows will be hoping that he has avoided any significant injury. Obviously the ACL is what everyone gets scared of. Hopefully he's avoided that. And the Crows, they have such a thin injury list at the moment, so hopefully he does not go onto that injury list and he can get back out. Likely not playing again this game, but hopefully not out for too long.
And earlier today, it was a thriller. The Swans upsetting the Dockers at the SCG, but it might have come at a bit of a cost.
Yeah, it did. I mean, all eyes were on the SCG surface. It passed the test for the most part, but Tom Papley came from the ground. Now, this was the siren here, an 11-point win to the Swans. So 3 games and percentage out of the 8. Fremantle now sit outside the top 8 on percentage. There's a 5-team deadlock on 10 wins as it sits if the Crows were to lose this game. So, as I said, the SCG turf held up well. The Swans held up well, and they've got the Saints and North Melbourne in the next 2 weeks. And they'll give themselves every chance in those 2 games. A big blow for them, though, Tom Papley with a hamstring concern. So he came from the ground and was subbed out of the match with that injury. And it's the latest setback for a player who has had no shortage of them, really. He's had heel issues. He had a hamstring back in 2022 that saw him miss the opening 7 or 6 games of the season. And now it looks like he has suffered a latest soft tissue blow. So the Swans will work through that when they get scans for him in the not too distant future. In terms of the result, a pretty significant one. As I said, the Swans still in touching distance at the 8, even though it might be a bit far out. These were both coaches after the game. First Dean Cox and then Justin Longmuir after that 11-point win.
Yeah, really pleased. I think opposition you play, they've been in really good form. And to build the way we have and to capitalise against a good team. Really proud of the way the boys did it.
I live in the moment. It wasn't as though we were going to go through the rest of the season and not lose. I'm probably hoping that, but it's a bit unrealistic. Loss was going to come. We will review it the same as what we reviewed our 6 wins, get better, try and beat Hawthorn next week. We're on the same. I don't know. I haven't looked at the ladder since the game, but I'd imagine we're a game out of the 4 or equal with someone in the 4. Like it's, we lost the game. We're not out of it. Keep fighting.
So the Swans put an end to that 6-game winning streak to the Dockers. They've won 4 of their last 5. They've got their mojo back, and you had a look. They've got a favourable month ahead. They could sneakily.
They could 5 in a row. They could. Now they needed to get that one. They missed the one against the Dogs, so now they 5 in a row. And it just, with 3 to go, it just might ask some questions of the competition, regardless, seeing what happens with the results around them, of course. But you never know. 5 in a row builds a lot of confidence in a group.
Yeah, but they continue to lose to bottom 10 teams. So does that mean they are a bottom 10 team? Are they around like types, or are they better than that? Should they be better than that? Is the question we're all asking.
Well, the team that got back in now is their best group for the year over this block. So we'll wait and see.
Well, let's see what happens. And Zeets, just finally, a couple of big injuries from last night.
Yeah, there were, and also one today. So Jacob Bauer has suffered a suspected ACL for the Tigers in the VFL. We know, of course, Sam Lawler did the hamstring.
All right, well, they're jibber-jabbering on about games from last night, etc. like that. We'll get back to the stats and have a little bit of a look at that, because I know I show Whitey. He wants to have a look and see the inside 50 stats. There we go. Let's head on down to the player stats. We'll keep that going. Jake Saligo there for the Crows on 12 up until half-time. Clayton Oliver, what's he going to do for the rest of the game? Is he going to continue to perform, or is he going to give up? I tell you what, he's got to be the biggest criticised player in the competition at the moment. He's on 12. He's had 3 clearances, 5 kicks, 7 handballs. Let's see what he does. Jordan Dawson for the Crows, the captain. He's had 11 disposals. Who else we got down there? Brodie Smith on 9. Tom Sparrow, 8. Judd McVie on 8 there for the Demons. Who else we got? Maxi Gawn. He's having a little bit of a quiet one, isn't he? 7 touches, 5 kicks, 2 handballs, 3 marks, a couple tackles, 11 hitouts, and 1 clearance. Usually does a little bit better than that. We'll keep an eye on him. Isaac Ranke, though, doing okay with his 6 disposals, with his 5 kicks. He's kicked straight. That's the important bit. He's kicked 3 goals. Well done. A little bit like Tex Walker, just with the 4 kicks. 2 goals, 1. So not a bad return for the Tex. Josh Fischelli, we'll see how he goes after the halftime break, landing awkwardly on his leg, hyperextending that, went off hobbling a bit and then was able to jog off the ground. So we'll certainly see and keep an eye on him, see how he goes. Riley Thilthorpe there for the Crows. Well, he's had a quiet one, been well held, just the 3 disposals, 3 kicks, just the 1 behind for him. Bailey Fritsch, also quiet there for Melbourne, 4 disposals, no kicks, but he's had 4 handballs. They want to get him up and running as well. All right, let's head on over to the team stats. We'll have a look. Let me just double reload this up just to make sure that's correct. And there it is. Melbourne just dominating the disposal count. Wow, by about 79 there, plus around 40 kicks and just under, about 38 handballs. Wow, Melbourne certainly dominating there. Here's the inside 50s for I Show White. Adelaide Crows, 30 inside 50s up until half-time for their 13 scoring shots, slightly above season average, so that's not too bad. Melbourne, though, very, very low there at 21 inside 50s, but they've had 13 scoring shots, so they've been quite efficient going inside their forward 50. So Adelaide plus 9, Melbourne doing a good job restricting Adelaide's score to maintain that lead by 5 points, even though... I should say Melbourne doing good with just the 21 inside 50s been leading this game. 30 to 21 are the inside 50s, and as you can see, efficiency inside 50, Melbourne at 66%, so that's really good for them. Adelaide need to lift a bit, and with their disposal efficiency, Adelaide need to lift. Look, I'm sure they'll do that in the second half. Adelaide are a pretty good team, and I'm sure they will continue to roll on and just improve over the second half. Melbourne, on the other hand, can they continue this for the second half? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So we're going to have to wait and find out for that one. Free kick count, though, there we go. I tell you what, there will be no new whistles for the umpires next week because they haven't used them much. There's only 13 free kicks in total for half a game, 7-6. Adelaide +1 in the free kick. So umpires letting the game flow on, which we all love to see. Hit out stoppages department, Adelaide on top there by 10. Just 2 in the clearances, and that comes from the centre clearances, 6-2 for Adelaide +2 there. Stoppage clearances, both teams on 10, which is good. Looking at the marks now, holy moly, guacamole. Adelaide, they're about 48 marks ahead, just controlling the ball a little bit. So we should... where is the possessions? Contested possessions. Did we see those? Uncontested, that's what I was looking at. I must have skipped that. Contested possessions, both contesting the ball well, but Adelaide just controlling the ball a little bit more. There we go, +72 there, holy moly. And that reflects in the marks, of course, 48 marks plus. Wow, what a big number. Adelaide normally take 90 for the season average of marks. So they should be up around 45. Melbourne 93 for their season average, already at 76, 3/4 of the way there. Marks inside 50 though. It's surprising, isn't it? Adelaide have taken a quarter of their marks inside their forward 50, 7 and 7 for both teams. Contested marks, both at 5 apiece, so that's not too bad. That is the scoreline at half-time, though. It's Melbourne leading the way, 6-7-43, 5-point leaders over Adelaide, 5-8-38. Just to recap, folks, if you didn't quite up with who has won the game so far, round 17, of course, we had the Western Bulldogs defeat North Melbourne 134-85. We had the Mighty Magpies defeating Carlton 115-59. The GWS Giants, way too good for West Coast Eagles, 111-52. The Gold Coast Suns, again, way too good for the Essendon Bombers, 115-74. Geelong absolutely crunched Richmond, 124-52. Brisbane Lions, just too good for Port Adelaide last night, 120-92. And of course, last night, a bit tight game over there, Marvel Stadium, where Hawthorn were victorious over St Kilda, 94-74. And today, the other game today in a ring-a-ding-ding game, Sydney Swans, victors over Fremantle, 94-83. And of course, we've got the final game of round 17 happening here right now at Adelaide Oval, whereas Demons by 5 points. All right, folks, let's get back down to the ground for the action, and it'll all kick off in just under a minute's time. We'll head back down to the commentators, and they'll take us into the bounce of the ball for the second half. Let's head on down there.
For the Crows.
Thank you, Roo. What about tactically both teams here? Any changes, do you think?
One of the matchups too has been interesting. Jordan Dawson, he had 11 disposals, but only 2 in the second quarter. So Clayton Oliver's done a pretty good job just to quell his influence. We did see when Dunkley was playing on him a few weeks ago for the Brisbane Lions.
Yep.
Dunkley did a fantastic job in 3/4 time, but then Dawson went forward and helped the Adelaide Crows win the game. So just wonder whether we'll see that in the second half, where he just decides to try and stretch Oliver forward of the ball.
Well, I think the Crows have just got to get their midfield, get them back to work. There's just had too many guys that haven't gone near their averages for possessions, let alone dominating. I mean, Key's got back into it in that second term. He's playing forward of the ball mainly. But when I look at Alex Neil-Bullen, he's only had 4 possessions. Curtin's only had 2 possessions. Even Riley O'Brien, he's had 2 possessions for the day, and he has over the journey this year, he's been a significant ball winner for them. We've only had 136 possessions at half time. It's a really low number.
Yeah, a lot of room for improvement, that's for sure, but they are talented enough. Melbourne putting up a terrific show here today, but Adelaide had the last 7 scores of the second quarter and are within 5 points. Brian very concerned about Gould, but he does win the tap. Saligo versus Pickett, looking to sock it to his own advantage. Numbers with the Crows. Curtin almost got out the other side, not quite. Langford, Pickett, and then Lever overdoes the handball, forced to Berry. Dawson suddenly it's the Crows through Saligo into the 50. Fogarty waited for Walker, powered the handball forward. Melbourne couldn't keep up. Keys has put it through, and the Crows hit the front.
The bad mistake coming out of half back there. They missed handball. We saw a handballing display last time by the Brisbane Lions. Jared, you've got to be good under pressure. So the Adelaide Crows forced down. They kept the pressure coming forward of the ball.
Yeah, it was a joke lever, I think, for memory.
Yep.
His handball went nowhere, and then they just swooped on it. That's a really good start by the Crows. You want to see a handball? This bloke, bang, left hand, right hand, multi-skilled, multi-talented. And it counts because Melbourne, if you go back their last 3 or 4 goals conceded, most of them have been off the back of skill errors, and it really hurts when the pressure gets brought to bear.
So the fast movement of the football in Adelaide's DNA. They strike early. 1 goal, 2 to Ben Keys.
They need to win a centre bounce, Melbourne. They got dominated in the second quarter from centre bounce.
Gone. Went a bit early that time. Berry paddles it out to Soligo. Now Dawson has to be fast. He drops it. Was able to get rid of it, but Berry's now got a touch of the fumbles. Plenty of pressure. Fritsch goes in. Dawson again. Kept his footing. Michael Annie through the middle. They fought their way out of it, Adelaide. Laird was too slow. And his kick just tumbles about 5 or 6 metres. Langdon off the deck. McVie. Sparrow has to retreat back to Langdon. And then eventually inboard to Gorn.
That's probably the best pressure Melbourne have produced for the last 20 minutes of game time.
Oh, Jase, because Phil thought was going to get hit up in the lead there.
Yeah.
So just chipping around the flank again. Langdon now looks further afield and goes down the line, but straight to a Crow, and the tallest one at that, O'Brien.
There's that skill error once again. I think the Crows would have gone to work on trying to restrict Melbourne's uncontested marking game, and they didn't allow them to have the corridor then. Straight down the line, skill error, turnover.
Testing kick for Worrell. Laird with lots of work to do, as it turned out. Chandler fully committed. Same for Michael Annie. Keane, a little casual, but he knew what he was doing. O'Brien the same to Laird. Just jams it forward. Found a way to get on the bounce pass, Gorn. Fogarty and Gorn. Turner and Thilthorpe. Langdon. Quick reflex handball. McVie juts back out to Thilthorpe though. Crows starting to win the important contest. Fogarty up inside 50. Oh, just out of the reach. He was on his own again, Isaac Rankin. He tags Lever. Salem, important hands. Gorn, awkward. Now as he dived up, well, he scooped it straight back up. Walker again, threatening to handball. Invented a kick. Instead, went for getting it back to May, and a bit of a reprieve for the D's, although it's probably heading back into the 450 again for the Crows off the boot of Hinch.
And he goes short wider to Neil Bullen. Too far out to score.
Just halfway through the second quarter, it's been a real problem for Melbourne inside 50.
Yep.
Jared. They just can't get any territory.
Can't get near it.
He's going to prop it up, centering kick towards Walker, not quite. Oliver's hurried hands, Lindsay, quick work, Chandler with a little fake, Bowie went without it. Plenty of pressure here, Neil Bullen goes in, there's a boot, and Aaron Boot's gone flying. Chandler, Lindsay takes the tackle from Rankin, and the umpire crosses himself.
And a good decision, he had no prior. But Melbourne's skill has been brought under enormous pressure now, and they're turning the ball over way too often.
Back in motion again with O'Brien to Laird. Batted down, so Michael tried to spin through. He can't. Laird copying it from Sparrow in the back. Adelaide veteran back at half-back where he made his name in the first place.
Going at 40% at the moment, Melbourne.
Typically long left footer from Worrell. Fogarty loomed large. Neil Bullen against his old team. He would have loved to have worked that through somehow.
They haven't started well here, the visiting side. The Crows have come straight back out where they started. Winning the contest, winning the territory.
So Langford bringing it back into play. In the Gorn direction, a primary target. Was O'Brien holding him? He was. Gorn. Another long one down towards the flank. Van Rooyen, last man standing. There's going to be a free kick. A push in the back, Jared.
Well, surprise, surprise. It was there, but there's been many there, unpaid, but that was definitely on. That's a good kick.
Keane, aggressive towards Butts, and now running is Fogarty. He's going to sit up beautifully for him. He can saunter inside the arc, line them up. Wobbly kick was almost going to work towards Thilthorpe, who got a fingertip to it crucially. It's going to be a throw in.
Well, you're a brave man if you can laugh, but that's all you can do in that situation. He could have kicked the goal. I think he was having a shot.
Struggling with confidence.
Kicks in the comfort goal and he couldn't score.
His form has been off for a fair period of time.
Yeah, it certainly has. Is that the ride in the back? Maybe he just turned enough, Barry.
That's one that could have just got him back. Such an exciting player when he's at his best, and really important coming into the finals.
O'Brien. Oh, Rankin taunting. What a player. Yes, we saw it to Isaac. He's kicked four. Cozzy and Isaac both turning it on at the Adelaide Oval.
Well, you can see why they want to play him in the forward 50, because ball's in dispute. He can be the small full forward, he can be the ground ball player that gets it.
It just hasn't been close enough today, Jared. Like, that's just too easy. If he ends up 5 metres behind him, I know there's blocks going on, but you need to do a better job of containing the most dangerous small forward in the field.
Yeah, he just did a circle and then lost him. Little dinky dog ball. Sold some candy. And all manner of salutes, which means something to somebody. Oh, look, he just come through. He came through 3 players. Too easy, that one. He's a genius. But Melbourne's stoppage coach would look at that and say, what the hell?
He can smash through the stoppages now.
So those numbers turning around, and all of a sudden it's Adelaide by 7.
Centre clearance, there's one.
Gorn, Fritsch, Viney, hurried kick inside 50 to a 50-50. Punched away by Key, looking for Worrell. Still in dispute though. Oliver went in hard, attempts to get it to Chandler. Worrell off a step with the handball to O'Brien. Takes them on, crashed through Viney, grabbed by Smith. He almost chucked it out. Langford, Oliver, Petrarca, hurried one towards the top of the square. It's not convincing, but it came out to Chandler. Beats one, beats two. He's onto the left. He's going to spread it and give ground. So Langdon runs outside the arc, slips over under pressure. Cumming has him, comes loose. Keys coming and back to Rankin, and Adelaide get out of it well.
And Keys working hard up the ground to need some assistance. Here he goes again.
Didn't quite have the energy, the ability to hang on to it.
There's not many in the game work harder than this bloke. He was involved in the back pocket, back flank area, and then just kept on working hard.
He's done a pretty good job of Bowie too. Really has no big influence in the game. 10 disposals.
These need something here. The Crows with 5 consecutive goals. McVee, the jab pass is okay to Viney. And then along that flank they're going to work. Langdon. And again the kick falls short. Snatched back by Cumming as the Crows winding up again. Dawson, a little time to think about it. He seemed confident he could get around Oliver. It was false hope in the end, but didn't panic. They can't quite just get their hands on them to tackle and turn it around. Instead, it's Laird kicking forward, and O'Brien quickly off to Keys. Got his breath back. Off the radar.
Yeah, be filthy on himself for not nailing that. The difference between having a good game and a great game for those small forwards.
Let's kick 1-3.
Yeah.
So Rivers goes for a bit of a gallop outside the square and then sends it long to Van Rooyen with 2 to beat. Front and centre is Langford. A nice little kick to Pickett.
It's good vision from Langford.
So the cavalry charge forward. Pickett towards Fritsch. It's going to sit up for him. Bailey. Can he? Oh, he's misclubbed it.
Talk about blokes out of down on confidence, but I like him deeper than playing that half forward role, Brown. I just don't think he has the tank to get up and back like you need to as a half forward.
Just the handball over the top. I mean, nice. He was under pressure, but I desperately need that.
Margin back to 7. Smith almost to the wing on the kick. Carried away by May. There's Chandler feeding it back to Bowie. Had time to have a quick glance ahead. Jefferson on the move. Made the contest. Nice trap by Peatling. Sneaky little bounce handball. It seems to be his thing to the outside. Now Worrell. A couple of quick steps. And along the line, walking up really in position to Mark. Turner with the spoil. Back forward by Peatling, who kept on coming. McVee. Before Rankin closed, that was used to May that it wasn't far enough. Handballed it straight to Keys, who's trying to work out how he can get a free out of that, but he can't. He was saying he was holding the ball.
Umpire said he thought it was pinned and didn't have a chance to get rid of it. It probably was initially, but then Keys broke free and didn't want to get rid of it.
Gone. On to ruck against. Didn't stop the ground fleet of the Crows. Peatling.
He did well.
Inside 50.
So big crowd at Adelaide Oval. Watching their team with their noses in front, leading by 7. Gorn at the front. Spilt to Berry, quick hands to Keys. Wants another opportunity for a shot. Taylor, he was with a touch of the fumbles, and then Saligo buried and a ball up.
No, it's just great attack on the ground ball. Berry initially and got the handball away. There were 3 Crows players who were just to the ball first.
Gorn catches it out of mid-air, tried to fashion something, and then Lindsay under pressure, just a hat kick, and really just a kick and hope. And there's Murphy with an early involvement being subbed on. On the left, wide of the pocket, hoping for Thilthorpe, but Turner in the hole.
Well, it's great intercept mark by Turner, but gee, they gave him a chance. Thilthorpe just wandered over by himself. He was really, the Demons were lucky there not to concede that shot to Thilthorpe.
Viney. So called to play on. His kick will attract a crowd. Pickett in from the side, Gorn at the front. Pickett was able to trap it, so clean. The little fend off was clever. And then Lindsay's darting one to half forward. Building now as Jefferson can chip over the top. Tolstrom, spoiled by Worrell. Petrarca picks it up against the boundary. Step around the corner. Last man there was Keane. And he's got plenty of time just to have a little dance on the spot and progress it forward.
Oh, that's one that goes missing. Telstra, that kick just had to get there quicker. That was an easy kick inside 50. Had no penetration. They were away there, Melbourne. That was a golden opportunity. You haven't seen many of those in the last 30 minutes of footy, Jared.
No, I thought he was a bit stiff not to get the front on contact, I've got to say, Brownie, but the kick should have been better.
Here's a look at it there, Jared. He spoiled it okay, but the body maybe took the front on contact. Crows going forward, though, with Curtin backing back. Takes the mark, coming delivery. They get one step closer here to Laird. Is he going to be convinced to have a shot? He might have to now. Body language says he wouldn't mind laying it off, and that's exactly what he does. He goes to Thilthorpe, it's even too tall for him. Oh, funnies, he convinced them with the fumble and the stumble. He has.
Just not sure why players do this, Brownie. I mean, he's not under extraordinary pressure. That's a free kick against. I think the Crows fans are entitled to be filthy.
There was one paid early in the game. Yeah, it's paid very often. The one against the Crows player was there early in the game.
Yeah, definitely there. That's right. Sir Isaac pulled up, but he still had 3 or 4 metres clearance.
Professional fumble, Jerry.
Oh, it was a Turner. There's the claret from his left eye as well. Umpire hasn't seen it yet. Van Rooyen
In front.
So Van Rooyen, he's got Bowie running by, uses him, and then long penetrating kick to the flank. With the Crows have the numbers here. Too easy.
Huge handball that to Bowie. Then all of a sudden you put Bowie under pressure and you're outnumbered ahead of the ball. Bowie's going to run to a better spot.
So Keane short to Saligo, and he's just going to bunt it forwards to Peatling.
It's around where the top 9 have played the bottom 9, and Fremantle the only team to falter so far. That's the Swans earlier today. The D's looking to cause an upset as well. Led by 28 points at one stage. Jefferson, some of these lesser light for the D's are going to have to contribute in the second half if they're going to stand up. He did enough to put some pressure on Langdon with a forward handball. Bolstrup, there's another one. They work it inside 50. Second guarded from Lindsay. Matched well though by Taylor. And the Crows, a steady hand and boot of Dawson. Cross half back they go out to O'Brien. Stabs it to Fogarty. You can hear the crowd's excitement growing. Keys out the back. Oh, but it's Rankin who takes the mark. For some reason he wanted to pass. I suspect he almost played on there.
Oh, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? No, genuine one-on-one contest there, outmanoeuvred McVeigh.
Well, we haven't quite seen him at his absolute best this year. But that can change so quickly in a team with so much talent. Isaac Rankin is going to line up for his 5th goal. And if this is an indication of what's to come this year, the Adelaide Crows are going to be as dangerous as anyone. 5 goals for Isaac Rankin, and the Adelaide Crows have put their foot down and lead by 14 points.
Well, he's a wizard, we know, and they've made the conscious decision to go into to have him in the forward line more so than the midfield, and you can just see it bearing through, a little shove out, get some space.
I tell you, Mick, you clearly won't be watching the highlight tape. Not one of his best. You know, he's a good young player coming along, but he's lowered his colours today. Jeez, he just should have been able to arm-block him there. Keep him in front of him.
Keep him in front of you. You take the front position at your peril now in the defensive area.
Surely they think about to change that matchup.
No, they've got to, absolutely. He just hasn't been around him enough around those 450 stoppages, and that just a poor marking contest, poor technique.
9 touches for Isaac Rankin, 5 goals. Gorn snatches it away. Hurried kick, it won't be a mark. Neil Bullen quickly to Saligo, almost pinched by Viney. Will scrap for it in the middle. Gorn gets a boot to it, barged his way through. High one towards half forward. Jefferson and Chandler working together. Keane off the ground. Set up for Viney. Viney brings it back inside forward 50. No mark Tolstrup. Off the ground Jefferson. Pinballs around. Opportunity for the D's. Melksham picks his second.
Well, that one was absolutely needed, as everybody watching would understand. I think Jack Viney has been one of their better players today. He's worked really hard.
It was last week too, Jared.
Yeah, it's been a good battle with him and Saligo, but they just hacked this forward. There's not too much skill until it comes to the last kick of the day. There's Viney to a contest, 3 against 2, but just a little fumble here and a fumble there, but it came through to Melksham, and I mean, that goal just keeps them alive. It's a question of can they get Petrarca to lift, who has been really quiet in this term, and 2 or 3 others to come with him. Cozzy, I mean, they've got 2 or 3 match winners that have got a fair way to go to get to their best.
Got the centre bounce clearance, though. That helped with the territory. Haven't seen enough in this quarter.
Second goal for Jake Melksham after 5 last week. Berry and Oliver.
Rankin into the middle.
Viney again, tracks it only as far as Peatling though. Great agility there. Ditto for Neil Bullen. Moving it with purpose. Rankin with a soft touch.
A brilliant kick. He had that space. He walked back into the space. And the kick had to be superb, and it was. This is it. It's probably his best game for a long period of time, but this is when he's at his very best.
A fair bit of space, Jared.
Oh, yeah. Peatling was superb too there.
And,
Zach Taylor. Here's the shot for goal. A 22-year-old in his 17th game. To overcome injuries. Just to force his way into the AFL team. In his 2nd season at the top level. Back to the SANFL after 7 games early in the year. Kick 4, a low level last week, and he has a critical one this afternoon. Melbourne had responded, but Zach Taylor only takes a couple of minutes to get the Adelaide fans waving those flags again. Those flags are getting bigger and bigger each year in AFL footy in the cheer squad, but they're waving strongly at the moment. The Crows back to a 14-point lead.
Well, you can see Taylor just getting back and Salem on the jog. I mean, he's got to get better than that, Salem. Look at him, he's on the jog. It's too late to get desperate when the situation gets desperate. You've got to come back hard. And he made the most of it. Yeah, division says it all.
Only 4 goal kickers for Adelaide today, but a great young talent being one of those in Zach Taylor.
They use the ball well too, this quarter. They flipped the tables on the uncontested mark situation, 24-8 in Adelaide's favour. So Melbourne had a huge first half uncontested mark-wise, and Adelaide have kicked the ball well this quarter.
Very Rankin out of the middle. Peatling trundles it inside 50. Good collision between Lever and also Murphy, who's slow to pick himself up, but he does pick himself up. Critical, he's winching.
Critical intercepted mark, because that was a fantastic centre clearance. And I think Rivers pushed his man into him, and he's launched him, Murphy. And,
has he knocked his knees or there?
Yeah, so
like Murphy hit him hard.
Lever's walking off with the trainer there, Roo.
He didn't even realise he was injured until he got up, Jake. God, he's had a shocking run. He had 2 operations in the off-season.
Yeah.
I reckon he had another one after round 2. He had one last year, so he just hasn't had a run at it, Jake. That's why he went back to the reserves a couple of weeks ago, and we know how good a player he is. He's a superstar, but no matter how good you are, if you can't get some consistency in training and get your body right, it's hard to play good footy.
He's trying to put on a brave face there, but he is hobbled.
Yeah, it's a good word for it. He even shrugged his shoulders to one of his teammates. So as you say, putting on that brave face is keen. The Irishman has the football. Former Pie tried to get him back last year, but sticking with the Crows, short to Peatling. So just over 5 minutes left in the all-important third. Turner Fogarty with a real clunk.
That's the one he needs. He sat back, he gave himself some space, and he came forward. It was a really good kick to advantage. He just needs to go down and bury it. A couple of blocks there. The man in front was just too strong.
You said it right, Jared. He pointed to the ground in front of him, and Peatling put it right in front, made it just about impossible for Turner.
So Walker's one of the 3 tall timber that's kicked goals today. Make that 2 down. Fogarty's on the board. And they have a really good buffer now. It's out to 20 points.
Well, it's so important that he finds his best form. Even, 2 or 3 good games between now and finals footy. And after this win, it's hard to see them not finding finals footy and maybe big finals at the top end. But that's just a really strong grab. Just builds your confidence around that. Goes back and marks it. There's the vision, terrific vision, just showing us how superb the kick was. He's always been generally a great shot at goal, Brownie.
Yeah, he has. Get his confidence going. Just jumped the ball nicely there. Good marking, good finish. Just when his goal kicking went off a bit early in the game, Jared, that's the problem, isn't it? It shows the player lacking the confidence.
Yeah.
Jake Lever thinks he can get back out there by the look of it. Margin out to 20. 5 goals to 1 for the quarter. Fogarty's 30th goal of the season. Dawson, what a pick up into stride. Interesting bounce. Now sends it forward. Bullthorpe denied access that time. Like Rivers doesn't mark, so it's still alive. Neil Bullen, close quarters with Salem, shook him off to the inside. Oh, Ronnie O'Brien, the ruckman.
Rivers had an ordinary quarter this one. They're just under an enormous amount of pressure on that territory. Jared, 14-6 this quarter.
Little handoff to Michael Annie. Kicked 3 last week as a defensive forward. Maybe that wasn't quite the right recipe as Bowie stepped in. It was touched off the boot, so that's why it wasn't a mark to Bowie.
Clever kick from Bowie. He knew he couldn't go the boundary line, so he just dropped it in front of some teammates and got the result he was after, which was a boundary throw-in.
Disappointing. It's always good to watch the ruckman go back and have a set shot for a goal. Riley O'Brien's still out of contract at the moment, and there are some whispers around that being targeted by a few other clubs who might need a ruckman. Dawson, not balanced, he's got right underneath that one. Just drifting across. May with the back of the fist.
It's a big corner, Jordan Dawson. 7 disposals now, so just gradually breaking that tag of Clayton Oliver's.
So Adelaide turning this right around after being in front by 3 at quarter time. It's Melbourne by 5 at half time. It's all been Adelaide really in this term. O'Brien at the back, trying to fashion it to Keys. It spat out to Langford, Salem, Lindsay. Handball, Oliver, Courts. Dowie there for assistance. Looping one over the top. 2 hot for Langford. Michael Lanny comes in. Goes back to Dawson. Standing start. Touched off the boot. Won't be a mark. Salem heard the call. Quickly to Petrarca. Tolstrup, Petrarca. And then throws his laces into it. And not quite Sparrow spoiled on that occasion. And Curtin gives ground to Keane, who has to be quick. Melksham swinging around. Holding the ball. There's a bit in it too.
It's too late. You're not too sure. Can you... No, hey, let it go. Come on. Move out, Ed. Move out, please. Ed, move out.
Well, that's the team lift of Melbourne needed.
No, absolutely.
There, haven't they?
I thought it was a great attempt at the argument from Keane. He's put on Dwayne's lazy Susan. He had 3 goes.
Great work from Ed Langdon in there to have his piece as well.
So Jake Melksham, this could be an opportunity for a team lifter. That the heart's pounding a bit faster at the moment. Bit of adrenaline through the body at 49 metres, going for his 3rd, and he's kicked it back to 14.
Well, there's moments in games, isn't there? So the game's slipping away from Melbourne. Also, when their senior players just steps up and makes a brilliant individual effort. Quite often that can be the turning point in games. So they need to use this, finish the quarter off strongly, and that's there. I think the 360 is enough, Jared. Pay the hold the ball.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a brave argument against.
He pushed hard back the other way, Mark Keane.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't go up with AFL 360, Mark Keane, so he didn't know.
Pretty willing competitors, those 2 boys too.
That was a good finish from Melksham. Got one early. He's always willing, and that was a great, as you said, Brownie. It gives them a bit of a sniff. Actually, they're still in this match.
Funnily enough too, Jared, since their first quarter debacle in front of goal, they've kicked well for goals since then. Since Van Ryan put him on the burn early in the second.
Doesn't mind a stoush either too. If one was on for Melksham. Great story in his 15th season of AFL footy. So now the Crows have to go again. Saligo needed the bounce to go Berry's way. They just stayed ahead of the game. Cumming got himself bounced and targeted Fogarty. Turner couldn't do anything.
It's a wonderful thing now.
So centre clearances that are coming, exposing the one-on-ones. I think some of Melbourne's first yearers and inexperienced players are just starting to flag later in the season, later in games. So the pressure drops off.
Still experienced players in the centre bounce, though.
Yeah, more on the outside I'm talking about, Brownie, but nevertheless, it's still open, but this is going to make it tough.
Minute 30 to go. Melbourne are hanging by a thread. He had to ride it, but it got home. Second goal to Darcy Fogarty. And the Adelaide fans have found their voice in the second and third quarters as the home team leads by beyond 3 goals. 11-10, 76 to 8, 8-56, and the Guns are starting to fire.
I'm not sure if you heard that thud that we heard, Rue, but that was absolutely out of the centre.
Yeah, they are. They're going really well in there, and we all know the forwards love quick ball movement, and Darcy Fogarty just getting on the end of a couple of better kicks. Isn't it chalk and cheese about the delivery to their forward line from that first half to really this, or second half of that second quarter after they jumped out and kicked the 5 goals? Melbourne, Adelaide have sort of started to get on top of the game and give their forwards a better use of it.
Well, the Pickett, Oliver, Petrarca, obviously Max Gorn in here, that's where they need to lift. Centre bounces. That's what's hurting them territory-wise.
Just had 4 goals for in his last 5 games, Darcy Fogarty. So he'll welcome this return to form and to confidence.
Yes, fair to say that the fog has lifted in this third term. We're back in the middle, 20 points. And we'll have a score review
With
here.
few complaints, looking at these angles, we can see a spike on edge as the ball passes the post. Decision on
So this is not going to be a goal. It's hit the post.
Got a bit wobbly late in the flight. Just could be.
So the field has rushed to reset.
It's that end, isn't it? That post and that end. As the Crows are playing.
Bowie. So 15 points is the margin as we take stock. Dawson almost could have marked it in the end. Diffuses and goes out.
Now, Simon Goodwin, if they can keep the margin on, he's going to sell them a plan and some hope, doesn't he?
Well, he's Jake Melcham as the example. All the players are capable of doing something like that.
And ultimately, they're going to have to start winning the territory because you're not going to win if you go inside board 57 times in a quarter.
Bowie ripped off it. Rankin in and under. Diligent as always.
Beating them badly around the ball in this, probably the last 2 quarters.
Dawson curls it back around. And outpointing them that time was Turner, who had a little bit of a cut to the left eye earlier in the quarter. That's obviously been cleaned up. And sells a bit of candy around Fogarty. Protected by Gawn, and then skies one into the middle of Adelaide Oval. O'Brien, no mark. Pickett with the crumbs. Van Rooyen's got a bit of room to move here. Has a run. Just outside the opening for Fritsch. Pushed away from him. It was a terrific spoil lead. Smith, and they can mop up here, the Crows.
See how critical that...
That was brilliant from Hinge. He read that magnificently.
Fritz had to push off Hinge. Made it too easy for him.
Yeah.
There he takes the mark, and that might be all for the scoring for this third quarter. Quarter which has largely been dominated by the Adelaide Crows. Kicked 5-3 to 2-1. We thought they'd kick 6-2 to that late review. Melbourne is still close enough to cause some tremors in the last term. They have the experience, they have the stars, they have the history. They've beaten Adelaide the last 4 occasions, so the Crows will still be wary. But this is an Adelaide team that has a perfect record against the bottom 9 teams this year. Will it continue? After the footy, straight for the team on bounce with Jason and...
All right, folks, there we go. 3/4 time here at Adelaide Oval, and as Adelaide took control in that third term, all didn't they ever? Melbourne just got 2 goals, 1 in that third term. Adelaide extends their lead 5 goals, 3. They were just dominating that third term and putting their stamp of approval on this game so far. It's Adelaide Crows 10-11-71, leading Melbourne 8-8-56. Well, it's a 15-point margin here at 3/4 time. I tell you what, it's going to be in for a reasonably good last quarter here. Who's going to take out this match? We know what is on the line on stake for Adelaide. Let's just jump across to that live ladder. And, of course, Adelaide will jump up into third. If we turn that off, Adelaide Crows sitting down there in 5th spot. This is a win they need to cement themselves in the top 8, especially with that fantastic healthy percentage. We turn the live ladder back on. And, of course, Adelaide Crows will go up in the 3rd spot, sitting in 3rd in the top 4, thanks to that percentage, of course, with Hawthorn and Geelong winning. There are your teams on 44, 3 teams vying for the top 4, only a half a game away from Brisbane. In that position there, Game Board, shouty, the famous Game Board is in the house. Welcome in. It's like having royalty in the house. And, of course, that is what Adelaide have got at stake in this game today. They really need to hang on. It's a game they expected to win, and it's a game they should win. Look, Melbourne trying their best, but I think the class of Adelaide coming to the fore here and showing up, as we can see, the worm here when Melbourne sort of took over in that second term early. Then Adelaide said, turn it up, and they just took over and piled on the goals here and they just were showing Melbourne who was the boss and what you got to do to be a good team. And Adelaide is certainly doing that right now. Just have a look at the goal scorers. Isaac Ranke leading the way. He's got a handful. He's got 5 straight goals. Isaac Ranke kicking straight as an arrow today, and that's what you like to see. That's what you need to do. Taylor Tex Walker with a couple. Zach Taylor the one. Ben Keys and Darcy Fogarty also with singles there for the Adelaide Crows. For Melbourne, Jake Melsham there tops the table with them for 3 goals. Van Rulen with 2 with Kaiser Pickett. Trent Rivers with a single. Just have a quick look at the major ball winners there at the moment. And of course, Ed Langdon continues to lead the way on top with 22 disposals, 16 kicks, 6 handballs, 6 marks from Jordan Dawson, who had a good third term for the Crows there. Best for the Crows on 21 touches, 12 kicks, 9 handballs, 2 clearances. Jack Viney, Petrarca having good games. Kaiser Pickett, also Stephen May, 20, 19 and 18 disposals for those players there. Just rolling on down. James Peatling there for the Crows on 17. Rory Laird on 17. Saligo on 16 also. Clayton Oliver just had a few possessions in that third term up to 17 as well. Maxi Gawn, the big man, finding it a little bit tough out there today, but still giving it his all. 14 possessions, 19 hitouts, 4 clearances. He's trying his heart out. Is big Maxi Gawn, as he always done. As I said, Taylor Walker, 2 goals, 1 from his 6 kicks, and 2 handballs down there. Good thing for Adelaide, though, Riley Thilthorpe hasn't really come into the game much at all. 6 touches, 4 kicks, just 1 behind. So, you know, he could unleash in that final term as well. But you know, his counterpart, Bailey Fritsch, hasn't done much either. 6 disposals, 1 kick, 1 behind for him. All right, let's take this back up. We're only a minute away from the bounce of the ball for the final quarter here in Adelaide to wrap up round 17 of AFL football action. We're in for a ring-a-ding-ding final quarter here, folks. Can Melbourne actually produce something in this final quarter and take this win away from the Adelaide Crows, who will go into 3rd spot and cement themselves into the top 4 if they can win? Or can Adelaide, being the team that they are, that they have been all season, one of the classy outfits of the competition, can they hang on and can they draw away from Melbourne and give their fans some excitement and get the cheering going, get the crowd on their side, and take all hope away from Melbourne? That's what we've got to find out, and that's what we're going to see now. Let's head back down to the ground, folks. And I was just having a little bit of a look at that. There we go. Let's head back down to the ground, and they'll run us into the bounce of the ball for the final quarter, where it's the Crows by 15 points.
30-9 in favour of Adelaide, but it's those big boys. They've got experienced, you know, superstar players in their midfield. So Viney, Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver, they need to get the ball rolling for Melbourne, and they need to start to get territory. They've got a lot of forward half intercepts in the first quarter, Jared, but the territory just completely dried up, and without that, they're not going to be able to get back in front of the scoreboard.
Yeah, the uncontested movement worked for them in the first quarter. Adelaide wore it down by half-time, and now they're getting a lesson in it the other way. I think they've got to go push hard to the goal square and just have a genuine crack at the fastest ball movement they can, as long as they've got even numbers ahead of the ball.
So 15 points after it was 3 at quarter time. Adelaide leading Melbourne by 5 at half time. And an excellent third term for the home side. So leading in, it was 5th against 14th. The Crows looking to solidify their spot in the top 4 with a win here.
Too often Max has won the hit out and it's gone straight to the Crows.
Michael Annie, hurried one. Oh, almost a friendly fight there for Murphy again. It's gone in hard with Cumming. And it's come out to Rivers, who darts it along the wing. Fritsch, is he being held? It's
going
to be a free kick to Fritsch.
Yeah, it's his big contest. Both very courageous, going back for the flight of the ball, Cumming, and then Murphy the other way. Xavier Lindsay started that centre bounce from Melbourne, so a little change up.
Rivers' entry inside 50. Plenty of Crows at the fall of the ball. Petrarca with the fumble. O'Brien, Dawson, too hot for butts, but Smith was there. They've got the numbers. And then the high one back towards the wing where the Ds have the numbers. No mark. Leave it back on the ground. Rankin tackled. Grabbed by May. Rivers on the logo. True centre wing working with Viney.
Great tackle by Bowie to drag Rankin down there. He was gone.
Back to Rivers. Finally inside. The Crows are well stocked. Melbourne really didn't get to the drop of the ball at all. Hinge held the kick up for just a moment. He was late to it, wasn't he, Salem, but not late enough to cause the 50 on Taylor. Kicked a goal earlier in the game. Zach Taylor. Very few injury problems. We've seen Rochelle today. Oh, he's handed that one back. Goes straight to Langdon, and on the lead, it's Melksham again. He's the biggest threat, clearly up forward, along with Cozzy Pickett.
It's changed a few things. So if everyone starts on the bench, Jared,
yeah,
well, they're going to go a smaller forward line. They put Xavier Lindsay into the centre bounce. So he's spoken about that, Simon Goodwin, and he's going to try and develop those younger midfielders, give them some more centre bounce time.
3 goals won today. Jack Melksham had 11 shots last week, the most from a Demon since 2006, and David Neitz. Quite incredible. And suddenly, he's turned 5 goals, 6 last week, into 4-1. And the Demons are kicking them out of their skin at the moment. They could not hit the proverbial barn door earlier in the game, but on the back of the accuracy, they're staying in the game and they're being led by Jake Melksham.
Who would have thought, you'd be saying accuracy's got Melbourne back in the game at quarter time.
Well, it came off the back of that Bowie tackle on the other side of the ground. Rankin was away, and he dragged it down. They transferred the ball, and a pretty good kick to set up this shot at goal.
It's amazing, isn't it? So Melksham does that great tackle late in the third quarter, kicks the goal, and then Bowie goes and does the same thing. So that's leaders. That's how they influence over your teammates.
8 goals won since quarter time.
So a beautiful set shot from Jake Melksham. Well and truly keeps the game alive. We're back to 9 points. Gone through the legs of Petrarca. Dawson in and under. Up to Peatling. Michael Annie runs laterally. Out to Smith. Smith off the side of the boot. High one. Rankin waits underneath of it. Had a fair bit of it. Then Peatling. Was he held before he had the football? No, said the umpire. And then Keys retreats back. Smith, little poke inside 50. Fell short with one hand. With one hand.
Been pretty quiet, the big thrill seeker. But he wants the piece of the action. Another centre bounce clear as Max gone one. But
plays on quickly here, Jared. And it was too hot for Taylor. And Petrarca can mop up here. Out to Langdon.
Yeah, it was a centre bounce hit out one by Max Gorman, again taken away by the Crows.
Kick goes up along the wing. Gorn got there, but he wasn't balanced enough to take the mark. Barry pounced on it. Now Hinge found his left boot. Leaving a lot of work to do. Fogarty hit it hardest. Didn't mark, but does pick it up. And snap, a wonderful goal. Adrenaline and confidence is surging back. And for the second time today, we are saying he's kicked his second goal. And surely they won't overturn this one.
Yeah, that's right. He thought it was his third, but you're right, it's his second. He was fantastic. So that's good. So you get one of your forwards who's been down on form the last few weeks, Jared. You get him back going again, feeling good about himself. And the way he's attacking his footy, clearly you can tell he's building that confidence. And he's capable of that. He's a beautiful kick, good recovery. You love the big forwards that can just recover their own ball. Whether you give off the handball there or turn and kick the snap goal, great effort with that. Good ball handling, good ball control, good contest ahead of the ball. Just see the moves been made too, so ahead of the ball, Rivers has gone on to Rankin.
Telstra has been subbed off for Harry Sharp.
Yeah, Harry Sharp, who 16 games in 4 years at Brisbane. He's now to his 30th match coming on.
Just about a professional sub too, isn't he, for the D's?
So O'Brien and Gorn, they nullify each other that time, and Sharp straight into the action, grabbed by Curtin, and a ball up.
It was a good start, straight off the wing, came charging in. Tholstrup, he's still yet to be able to crack a position that he can hold his own. He's played 16 games now, and this will be his 17th.
So Keatling is being held by Oliver. Free kick received in the middle of the oval, and then goes corridor. And Lever meets it hard, fills the hole. Goes out to Sparrow. So here's McVee. Doesn't set the world alight today. Long one down the line. Crows with the numbers. No Mark Butts. Dawson. Kick not the required. Neil Bullen has to ride the tackle and then get rid of it somehow. Melksham to Pickett. Pickett has a bounce. Has a look at the sticks. Strikes the tackle. Goes out to Sparrow. 35 metres out. And kicks the goal. And the game's still alive. It's back to 9 points.
Yeah, again off the back of a tackle. The Petrarca pressure was really solid. He gets grabbed an arm and the ball bobbled out, and all of a sudden they're away to the races.
Yeah, they've got the ball ahead of the ball, Jared, haven't they? So they've tried to change things. I like what he's tried to change a few things, so I'm good in three-quarter time. So, you know, he goes down long down the line. Adelaide probably should have taken an intercept mark, but the pressure was really good, and a good finish again. Look at that, good tackle there, right up on the truck. So senior leaders just setting the tone there, get along, and really good finish.
You learn from that hinge. You've got to be able to drag them to the ground, and just a shake of the shoulders didn't really, you can't just grab an arm, you have to get the body. And a good finish from Sparrow.
So it's 9-1 since quarter time, and they are still very much in the contest. Pickett everywhere again. Flashing through, kicking them inside 50. Jefferson versus Keane, stuck at it. Sparrow threatening Hinge. Won it back and won it back well. He set up Michael Annie, netted a friendly face. Sharp got the handball out. Van Rooyen, Fritsch, Rankin can build up halfback as well on a whirlwind. Gets it quickly. Magnificent running. Phil Thorpe links up with Saligo. Now Neil Bourne, the ex-demon. Fogarty looming large at half forward. 3 on mark. Rolls around. Crows from one end of the ground to the other. Taylor Walker takes the mark. And the crowd erupts here at the Adelaide Oval.
Well, had their chances going forward, Melbourne, but a good turnover by the Crows and terrific ball movement.
All that's required now is the finish from Taylor Walker. He lets the countdown almost expire before he goes around and tries to kick his third goal, but falls short. And they just haven't quite been at their best today, the Adelaide Crows, right from the start. Players that you'd think they'd finish and execute, they just haven't quite. Melbourne have stayed in the game and they're still in it now. Great Mark Curtin.
It was a kick or down number though. It wasn't really, Sparrow suggests he's being shepherded, but it was a non-kick really from Melbourne.
Michael Annie across the face to Keane. Now Laird. Now Laird's wide a kick out to Berry as they work the key here. The Crows. He's going to bomb it long, right to the hot spot. Curtin at the front.
You saw him at the back. He was calling for it long. He's the tall wingman that came down, and he just made his way to the front, as you said, Manny.
That's a strength for him, isn't it? Yeah. You've got tall wingmen, not only get back in defence and support your defenders, but float forward. We've seen it as a trend in the competition the last couple of years. The wingmen float forward.
Well, helped Ollie Dempsey, the rising star,
Absolutely.
last year.
Yeah.
You can follow in the footsteps.
Why not when
He's
you're
only-
on the scene?
He's only had the 7 touches today, had the 26 last week, so been a bit quieter.
So point blank range here for Daniel Curtin, a young star on the rise. Not quite Curtins yet, but they're not far away.
Now we see it so often, wingmen coming down, trying to outnumber. I think we'll see him down here. He is. You see his hand in the air. Look, kick it to me. And he sees that. He's the deepest, and he just comes to the front of the square. And the youngster off the bench for the Demons, Sharp. He was not that sharp on that occasion.
Gee, isn't that a sign of confidence in the kid when you can, in your second year, just say, kick it in long?
Yeah, that was a ripper.
Perfect 10 coaches votes last week.
Not bad for a first-year player getting 10 coaches votes.
It's the mix of what he offers at the moment, isn't it? On that wing, he can intercept and push forward, as we saw there. Starting to hit the scoreboard as well, which he wasn't doing much in the front half of the season. Plenty to excite the Adelaide Crows about the future and the now.
Make that his second year.
Tagged high by Olive. Frustration, as well as the scars all over his face. Saligo, driving ball again. Phil Thorpe trying to work to the front, but there's a guy called Gorn who's been doing that for 15 years. Now where for Max? Straight to his direct opponent.
He hasn't his biggest day, Max Gorn. Certainly, he had 15 disposals, only 2 intercept marks. He's been able to have a huge influence in the contest.
Bryant off to Worrell, into the pocket. The kick is tucked to Walker, and Gorn forced to defend that time.
Yeah, just around those clearance scenarios, just haven't been able to, since quarter time, Jared, haven't been able to win those clearance situations, just get the territory. Just feel like they've been on the back foot since halfway through that second quarter.
Adelaide Crows to move ahead of Hawthorn and Geelong to regain third place tonight with a win here at the Adelaide Oval. They're on their way. O'Brien to Laird, displaced with the tackle. Michaelani coming again. Picked up by Bowie, the handballer, straight to traffic, straight to Rank. An interesting handball from Curtin.
Yeah, looked like an open hand, didn't it?
And then Melbourne win the free. It'll be Langdon. It's important early. It's going to be off a slow play for the G's.
Done a good job. Adelaide taking away the test marks since half time.
So it's an up and under down the wing. Big fly from Worrell.
So that's good. Smart. Make him kick on. So they're a bit up. They're undersized now at the moment. Forward of the ball.
Second mark for Worrell, 13th touch.
Just keeps on improving.
He's second in the AFL for intercept possessions, 7.5 a game, only behind Sam Taylor. So not a bad bloke to be trailing in.
Saligo's kick to half forward. O'Brien decided to pat it down. Gorn and Petrarca working together, stolen by Neil Bullen. Then looks further afield to the pocket to Phil Thorpe. He might get a chance. Lopes after it, flicks it behind. Keys! Can he make this for a goal? He can! He was being tackled in the process. He knows it was good, and I reckon it is good.
Score review. Umpire's call is a touch, one behind. Can we please confirm?
Oh, it's going to be a split inch in this.
Please can win the touch.
Review underway.
Any thoughts, Roo?
What did it doesn't look like he's touched it there, but what did the goal umpire say?
He said touched, but don't ask Roo.
Come on,
We go back earlier to McVee's touch. McVee seemed to be the one that was convinced.
Doesn't look like it's been
It
touched.
doesn't look like it's been
It's
touched.
not touched there.
May was very convincing.
The crowd's trying to tell him, that's for sure.
Yeah, Keys is convinced it wasn't touched.
Well, if anyone has owed one, it's been Keys.
Exactly.
Photo finish, Matty.
It's
Can you call
very,
it for
very
us?
close. Well, initially I thought it was a
Looking
goal.
at these angles, there is a gap at all times
Good call.
between the ball and the Melbourne defenders. Decision on scoreboards.
It's going to be a goal. And 40,000 people erupt at Adelaide Oval.
Oh, they love the review system there.
Yeah.
They fall back in love with it.
I tell you, Robbie Thilthorpe hasn't had a great day, but this is a brilliant handball. Pretty clever, over the head. And that's a great goal from Ben Keys, who, after a quiet first quarter, has worked his way right back into the game.
I reckon McVee got it. Yes, you look at McVee's hand swing. McVee's hand absolutely touched that.
You reckon it was
It
McVee?
was McVee. They made a mistake there.
Okay.
Have a look at it. It moves on the other angle. So that's too late. That's no good. Actually, look at the other angle. That's a mistake by the umpiring, by the, what do we call it though?
Goal umpire review.
Goal umpire review. I was going to say the MRO. Like,
So May was not claiming that he touched it himself. He was claiming it had been touched by McVie.
Yeah.
Ball squirts out Viney's way. Melbourne can't afford to really give up another goal from here. Bowie, a quick path to goal. Oliver, kicking hope. O'Brien, the firm fist. Smith, slalom through the middle. Back out to Laird. Worrell to a one-on-one. Salem is now Rankin's opponent. Maybe that move made too late.
Let's hear the easy angle. So here's McVie. Just watch him just coming up behind the goal post. So it moves off his fingertip there.
You sure?
Yeah.
Can we see it again?
Absolutely does.
His reaction was instantaneous. I'll give him that, but didn't quite see the movement you saw.
Get it back. Here's Salem. Got himself clear. Back to Bowie, not deemed a mark. Oh, it's going to be downfield advantage. Oliver has a casual bounce. Melbourne need the urgency. Jefferson outmarked by Keane.
Just on Bowie, I like the decision to stick him in for a centre square. He came out and hit a target from winning the centre clearance about 3 minutes ago. Mate, they're just experimenting, Melbourne. They've got to find some more kickers through that middle of the ground, those clearances.
So Michael Annie's kick deadly accurate to Keys, man of the moment. After kicking a spectacular goal that's almost put pay to Melbourne, as Turner.
It's all swings and roundabouts though, isn't it, mate? So they're 1-1 now.
Oh, for sure.
So that Sydney won the cost them a final.
Yeah,
probably doesn't make up for it.
I really think that's 1-1.
May, Bowie could use Turner or indeed Viney out there. Goes longer to Viney and 50 pushed over, so gets the 50. So still plenty of time left in it, 9 minutes. And this 50-metre penalty brings Viney up to about 55 metres out. And with the drive by Pickett, blazes away and missed.
Well, it's one to be wary of though, because he's just striding past and blocked it from outside 50.
Very realised late, didn't he?
Yeah, probably worth a shot, wasn't it? Full extension on the kick to Soligo. Rankin is goal side of Salem. That is a brave position to be in, although Murphy ran aground. Oh, Lever was into his fake handball for a long time.
It's one of the worst fake handballs we've seen. Dermot's been exposing that for a long period of time, and this would be Exhibit A.
I think one of them fists almost touched the ball. O'Brien, almost. Still whacking away in there. Chandler, the right time to turn. Back to Viney. Heaves it up onto the wing. Butts. Backs back. Jefferson does enough. Free kick though. Going away for some interference. To Butts, who of course is a pretty low-key operator normally, but Tom Lynch changed all that last week.
He did too. Yeah.
Smith up against the boundary line. May couldn't drag it down. There's been a free kick as Fogarty slaps it away via his boot. Free kick to the knees.
He's been good, Steve May. I've taken 20 intercept marks. Last week they took 5 against Gold Coast Saints.
So Pickett. Long ball. Keane goes the fist. Up to Van Rooyen. Neil Bullen picks his pocket, and eventually they work themselves over in a wry smile from Jacob.
Got to conjure one up quickly here, Melbourne. 20 points. It's not impossible. It's unlikely, but certainly not impossible.
Adelaide have gone back in their shells a couple of times when they're 3 or 4 goals up at this time of the game, and nearly let the opposition in on a couple of occasions. So they need to keep attacking today.
And that's what Smith does here. Fired it out to Neil Ball and then to Pickling. Along the line, the half forward. Oh, crash and bash. Murphy is just so reckless for his own well-being. Interesting advantage paid there. Saylor was about 30 metres back from where the free kick was going to be paid. Now McVie been freed up from the job on Rankin. He can't get any fluency going here, so it's...
They've been very good in this part of it, Adelaide, haven't they? Look at that, just the urgency.
And Rankin not far away on Salem. It's under there somewhere. What's he screaming here, Isaac Rankin? It's a standoff between the two. He's dragged it under. Waiting, you're gone.
Brilliant.
You're never safe when Isaac is around.
Been best on ground, he's been sensational. Watch Rankin, he's done everything, Jared.
Oh, he's been absolutely brilliant. Fed off on another long cross from Melbourne. They're going to play that. They're going to have to have better people kicking the ball. It's cost them a couple of goals today.
It's clearly been the direction half time by the Adelaide coaching staff. Take the uncontested marks away from Melbourne.
So that was the dive on it. That's what the umpire saw.
Yeah.
So Melbourne really come to play today. They've put the challenge down to the Adelaide Crows. They've got 28 points at one stage. They have their own stars. But they don't have Isaac Rankin on the cusp of his 100th game for a career best 6 goals. No, not that time.
Day to Salem. So exploring the options and then kicks to a 2-on-2. Van Rooyen got a bit of air. Petrarca almost overclubbed it. Raked in though. Sharp. Viney sells a bit of candy onto the left. Fritsch in a 1-on-1. It's a free kick.
Well, it was pretty good ball movement that time. Well done by Petrarca to get it all going.
He's good on Petrarca, wasn't it? Still a hope here.
So Bailey Fritsch, knowing the urgency, dashes back. And from point blank, comes in looking for his first goal of the afternoon and slots it. So that's back to 15 points. It's not over yet.
Yeah, good one, Petrarca. Senior player makes the right decision. The handball over the top, just keeps the ball moving forward. Fritsch just took off hand of the ball and earned the free kick. So just there, you just got caught in, just didn't hear the grab. Still a chance, Jerry. They get the centre bounce. They need a centre bounce goal.
Yeah. Doesn't matter who hits it, just get the clearance. So I like Bowie, as I said earlier in the piece. You can't grab the jumper. It's the bailout position, but you can't grab it. Just gives the umpire every chance to nail you. A good little bit of control there, and handball off by young Xavier Lindsay. He's a clever player. He's going to be a terrific player for Melbourne long term.
Still time for the D's. Just over 5 minutes remaining. Pickett in the middle with Dawson. Bowie coming through. Soldiering on Viney. Ready for Petrarca that time. Peetling all over him. Forces the ball up. That's the picture in the Adelaide forward line. Rankin is deep and isolated. Looked up and down again. Chandler with the tackle.
I'll take this, the Crows. Just killing time.
Yeah.
Stoppage after stoppage. It was Bowie off the backs of the line, so he probably wasn't in the square, but he's the one who needs to get the ball in his hand.
Gawn's tap. Sharp by Dawson. Swing and a miss. Gawn's gone in high. Keep it open at the point of centre half for Belair. There's designs on going back before they go forward. So the onus is on Melbourne here to try and win the ball back. Worrell, normally a territory taker. He had Saligo all on his own on the wing, but he's kicked it to Gawn. That was all a bit strange because Gawn took the mark anyway, and now Jefferson.
Saligo was the one. He was just sitting there.
Yeah, off to Rivers. He's kicked it to Worrell. Fritsch has got work to do here. Worrell, courageous touch of Keane from the showdown. Back to Laird. Up and under on the wing. Numbers mount. Melbourne need to make a contest. Dawson goes hard. So does Langdon. The desperate stakes are there for the D's. Jefferson, Lindsay, Salem can't get to their feet, can't release the footy. And we're down to 3:51. Melbourne need to conjure 3 goals from here.
But Adelaide still haven't put a spare behind the ball.
Bit of volleyball work near the boundary and out. 5 seconds ripped off the clock.
Adelaide are happy to hold their structure ahead of the ball, so they go and keep a close watch on Pickett. He's going to be one of the guys that will have to fly through this stoppage.
Gorn and O'Brien attack. O'Brien down to Peatling off a step. Wobbly ball, but anything will do late in the piece. Punched away by Phil Thorpe and co. Bowie tumbles at 35 metres. Van Rooyen's retreating handball too hot for Langdon. Picked up by Butts. Keys, Peatling, beat one, tunnel ball handball. Back to Keys, shrugs, gets away with it. Pinched by Petrarca. Petrarca knows the urgency. Inboard to Chandler. Now Pickett goes for a scamper. Shoots for goal. Yes! I reckon it might be there.
It's another one.
I believe it's behind. Yep, please make sure the ball touches it before getting the ball.
Brownie.
Story. Umpire scores are behind. Please check if it's touched.
Yes, he got there.
He got there. As long as he's touched it, he has got there.
We can see the ball's being touched by the right hand of the Adelaide defender. Decision on scoreboards.
Can't see the reverse angle of that, Kevin.
There's always a optimistic kick from Cozzy. He talks one of his teammates going for the shot. But I guess when you're under that much heat and that much adrenaline, you're entitled to have a ping, but pulls up a metre short.
Smith takes the 60 on offer. Berry basketballs it back, but the handball was poor. Bowie, one of their best ball users notionally, into the pocket. Sparrow cut the line in front of Cozzy, who was cutting again. Well done, Josh Warren.
Yeah, he's got good Warren, just beyond the ball. He's pretty safe, isn't he? Pickett's the man. He's the match winner for Melbourne.
Yeah.
So probably put 3 blokes on him here at this stoppage, Jared.
They've settled for one with Michael Annie, who's watching him like a hawk. Cozzy's on the move. He hits it. Oh, he's about to hit it there. Viney thrust the other way. Off to Lindsay. They nudge to the square. And good body work early there by Butts and Melcham. Couldn't get sight of it.
He's worked hard, Viney. He really has been one of Melbourne's best.
2:30 to go, and the margin and the favour is with the Crows. They lead by 14.
We've just been up with crowd enough stoppages having that last 5 minutes, Jared. Just helps you reset your structure.
Yeah.
Just get set up beyond the ball now.
And a good game of footy. 2:22 left on the clock.
Now they're spare beyond the ball, coming in the goal square.
Gone down to Oliver. Saligo all over him. Chandler. And to hurry it off towards Petrarca. Chandler working overtime again. Pickett's. Rivers just packs it to his own advantage. Clever in the end, Oliver. Finey out to Chandler. Chandler hit a bit of a wall. Over to French. Over to Van Rooyen. Still alive. Chandler. French. It's labour intensive. Now he's going to have a ping. It's on the line again and touched. Another photo finish.
There's the wingman just back there to protect the goal line. Coming. They made that move a couple of minutes ago.
They're getting their butt with behinds at the moment, the D's. Margin is 13. Smith back to the same place. Crowd getting a lot of action in that little quadrant at the moment. Viney definitely trying to get it out. It's all or nothing now for Melbourne. Alex Neil-Bourne against the club he played with for 10 years for the first time. Premiership player with Melbourne. Who knows? Could get a second in his hometown with Adelaide. Chandler versus Peatling. That's the best free kick differential in the Adelaide Crows to James Peatling.
It's been a good pickup for them. It's just added pop depth to their midfield.
It's been good recruiting over the season. Yeah. Company's been a good pickup. Obviously, Neil Paul knows as well.
Down the line she goes. Up goes May. Keys. Campbell blindly, really. Chandler already into his move. Rivers. Off balance. And that's about it for the D's as Worrell takes another intercept mark.
So 17 possessions for Worrell, 12 kicks, 5 hand passes, with 5 marks. High ball, May with the fists, down to Soligo, bit of dodging and weaving, grabbed by Viney and holding the ball.
Went one too many, and Viney, it's just it's been a good battle, not always on each other, but a lot of it.
Out to Bowie. So they've thrown as much as they can at the Crows. Coming in 14th position today, Melbourne. Van Rooyen and Walker. And it's going to be initial contact against Walker to Van Rooyen with 15 seconds left to go. Van Rooyen's kick to the pocket. He's overclapped it and taken out off the fist of Kane.
So finally, Matthew Nix and the Crows will break through against the D's after losing their last 4 against Melbourne. And at one stage today, it looked like they were going to make it 5 Melbourne. And as the clock counts down, they've fallen short. The challenge was real from the Demons, but the Adelaide fans stand to their feet, knowing that the Crows are in 3rd position. First win over Melbourne since 2021. The challenge was real, but so are the prospects of the Adelaide Crows. They win by 13 points. Not at their best. At their best, you feel will be good enough to challenge most of those who are going to be in the race come September.
Yeah, happy with that. Up to 3rd position on the ladder now.
Okay.
Looking like from halfway through that second quarter, it looked like Melbourne were going to skip away with a pretty handy lead by half-time. They were controlling the game, running contested marks. From that point in time, the game changed, swung in Adelaide's favour. They were in the second half, they were very good around the contest. 3rd quarter, they started to win the contested footy. They took away Adelaide's uncontested marks. They took away Melbourne's uncontested marks. They were able to get the game on their terms. Down to Mark Prosciutto.
Keezy, a slow start, but a great win.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a good side, really good side. You know, they beat Brisbane up there. They compete with the best. So yeah, we knew we'd get a contest. Just had to grind it out to the end, and we're able to pull ahead at the end there.
Very good in the centre square tonight. I think it was a 14-9 win for Adelaide.
They were huge, mate, and a lot of their weapons are in there, Melbourne. When you talk about Gorn, Petrarca, Oliver, Cozzy, so for our boys to go in there and do that, led by Riley O'Brien, especially on Gorn, it's huge for us.
And yourself, you had 11 score revolvents, most on the ground.
Yeah, a few behinds as well, mate. Got to get the goal king going, but mate, it was a full team effort. Like, we just play the system, and sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not, but just play the same system every week and try and get good at that, and sometimes you get reward.
What about that goal at the end, mate? It was off the shin.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Just had to get some sort of boot on it. It sort of was like slow motion, just floating there. But Phil thought it was incredible. I don't know how he saw me with the handball. So our hands were really good all night, I thought, especially around goal. And yeah, got the win.
And Isaac Rankin, highest rated game of his career with 5 goals tonight as well.
Unbelievable, mate. There's probably a period where Melbourne were on top of us. We needed some individual brilliance, and he was the spark. Kicked a couple and just his work rate, and then that sort of lifted the rest of the boys, and then we're able to fight back. And incredible, mate. We're lucky to have him.
Well done, mate. You're having a great season. Enjoy the win.
Thanks, Roo. Appreciate it.
Well, no doubt Isaac Rankin will be talked about over the weekend in the TV shows tonight. But I reckon, Brownie, the other talking point is going to be the overruled goal, because there's plenty of people out there communicating already that they thought it was touched and shouldn't have been overruled.
It was definitely touched by Jake McVeigh. Body language gives it away, but the actual evidence itself, so they've mucked it up there. They've got the wrong angle. So that's costly. Melbourne, obviously Adelaide ends up scoring the goal. Now, I know Adelaide supporters will be jumping up and down, going, hey, you know, what happened a couple of years ago, swings and roundabouts, but he actually specifically talking that incident. The amount of people that will be sitting at home watching need to get that right because...
And they overruled the...
And they overruled the behind, that's right. So the umpire was there and heard something or saw something, and they overruled him. So where was the evidence? There was compelling evidence to say it was touched, but they were looking at the wrong angles. So, not saying the Melbourne would have won the game, but they might have, because they certainly did come back into the game late in that quarter.
So there's the ladder as it stands at the completion of round 17. The Magpies still 10 points clear. Wins for almost all the contenders over the weekend. Fremantle slipping up. It was something that was predictable, of course, because Sydney have got their stars together now, so it was not an easy on-the-road match for the Dockers, but it means they're outside the 8 now. But it's anyone's guess, isn't it, as to who's going to be top 2, top 4 and top 8, because there's 9 genuine contenders and maybe the Swans could make a late run.
But always a good game of football next Saturday on Fox. Super Saturday, Adelaide and the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's a ripper, isn't it? Two hit one, obviously the showdown's always big, but the next 2 are huge games.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Gold Coast Suns obviously trying to keep their season alive, make finals for the first time, but next week, you're right, matey, it's going to be an absolute doozy.
Because both sides are a bit similar, aren't they, in their credentials at the moment, because they're beaten up, and both of them really have beaten up on the teams, the lower 9 with huge victories. And
need some scalps in the top end.
But they need some scalps in the top end, yeah. So one of them's going to get it next week, aren't they, unless they have a draw.
Yeah, I'll take confidence out of the win today around the footy by the Adelaide Crows, because if I'm looking at the Adelaide Crows, I think, yeah, they have midfielder short, yeah, especially they're playing ranking forward, and obviously they're going to come up against gun midfield next week against the Bulldogs, but I think that'll give them confidence the way they're able to fight back around those contest clearance situations and help get the game back on their terms.
Does Crouch come back into the team, Brownie, or has he lost his spot?
It's Berry, he's got a displaced problem.
That's my point. Has Berry taken enough?
Well, Berry's been in pretty good form
in
the last few weeks, so... it's maybe you get more offensive output from.
I mean, it's
obviously Berry's probably more a defensive pressure midfielder.
Yeah, of course there'll be lots of queries over Rochelle, and only the scan is going to reveal all there, because it looked like a bad one, but his facial expression didn't probably indicate an ACL, but doesn't mean that there's not some serious damage. You'd expect he would miss a period of time, and let's hope it's only in the weeks and doesn't need surgery. Where do you see the Demons, Brownie?
Yeah, they're an interesting one, aren't they? I like seeing Lindsay in the centre bounce there late in the game. They've got some good younger players. It feels a bit two-tier at the moment, doesn't it? So some of their veterans there, their star players, not playing at star factor level.
And blokes like Salem and Fritz.
Yeah, they've got a lot of those types, don't they? They sort of the in-betweeners, you might call them. I know there's premiership players there, but
I mean, premiership heroes, really. I mean, Fritz kicked a big bag of goals, had a fantastic season. But
and what's their game going to look like? Clearly, there's been a style change in the way they want to play.
It complicates the decisions a bit, doesn't it? It makes them more interesting, doesn't it? Their list decisions
it does.
at the end of the year. They don't leave home from now on, that's one thing.
Yeah, they don't have a few weeks of travel.
Toggle between the MCG and Marvel.
I mean, they've got a lot of good young talent, but are they going to be able to catch up quickly enough for the seniors to still impact?
Yeah.
And the veterans aren't having the impact that they once did when they were premiership heroes. So they are an interesting watch as to just exactly what they do in the off-season, who they keep, who they try to trade, and what sort of player they go after.
I mean, they'd have to be happy with the way things are going, though, because last year they had injuries and at a reasonable start of the year they fell away at times, so haven't played finals for 7 years. But I think Matty Nicks has built them in the right fashion.
Yeah.
They've got some star factor players, no doubt about it. And Big Phil thought he was quiet today.
He's quiet. I think he's had a couple of bad games in recent times. He hasn't hit the heights.
He keeps presenting, though. I like that. And Stephen May was good on him today.
Oh, he's one of the most talented big men we've seen come into the game for a period of time. But like everybody, it's a long season. You can't. It's almost impossible to be brilliant each and every week. But he is such an important factor. If he catches light in the finals campaign, who knows?
The game style could trouble some teams, Jared. If you don't bring the heat and the pressure against them, well, they can move the ball now. They had a lot of forward half intercepts today. They scored well from that source, and we've spoken about their contest and clearance work. So, they're going to be a formidable matchup coming into September, no matter who they play.
They've got good young players like Worrell and Nicolani off that half back line. Hinge. I mean, they're really well set.
A little bit of form today.
Really well set, got a good group, can add to it again at the end of the season. This is a side that's going to be in premiership contention for a number of years now.
Good pickups there, Neil Pullen, along with Cumming and Peatling.
Great crowd at the Adelaide Oval. And the home team have now won 8 from 9 home this year.
43,306 to be exact, Addo, so they've packed the stadium again.
And that's 5 from the last 6 games.
It's important you win at home, don't you? As an interstate team, you've got to protect the cauldron. They've done that this season.
It's not their biggest win for the season, but certainly a well-earned one. And Alex Neil-Born against his old team, so you'll be especially thrilled to get that one under the belt as the Crows set their sights on the 2 months leading into September.
All right, folks, there we go. Game, set and match. Adelaide Crows were just a little bit too good. 13-12-90 defeating Melbourne. 11-11-70, 13-point victors here at Adelaide Oval. The Adelaide Crows just too strong. Look, Melbourne gave a little bit of a yelp. They certainly tried hard in that final term, putting on 3-3 to Adelaide's 3-1. But Adelaide just too strong, too classy in today's game. That's why Adelaide sit on 3rd on the ladder. When we reload this up, this will show the story. Adelaide Crows now sitting 3rd on the ladder. Just a half a game behind Brisbane Lions sitting 2nd. And what's that? 3 games behind the mighty Magpies there. So fantastic effort there by Adelaide. We'll have a look at the stats in just a moment. Just to let you know, next week's games that these teams got, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a tough game for Adelaide next week. This is going to show where they are at, because next week, Adelaide Crows, they travel down to Melbourne and Marvel Stadium, and they're going to play the Western Bulldogs. Wowee, folks, that's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game. Look where the Western Bulldogs are sitting. They're sitting 6th on 40 points, just 1 game behind Adelaide Crows. So if the Western Bulldogs actually win that game and win that game by, well, a good sort of margin, they could actually leapfrog the Adelaide Crows. So we are in for a fantastic game next week. Adelaide taking on the Western Bulldogs. And, of course, Melbourne next week, back at the MCG. Don't have to leave Melbourne again for the rest of the season. They're going to come up against North Melbourne next Sunday at the MCG. So that should be an interesting game as well. Adelaide were just too good in today's game. Just looking at the game stats before we wrap this one up. Isaac Ranke topped the table with 5 goals out on the ground for Adelaide. Taylor Walker with 2. Ben Keys and Darcy Fogarty with 2. Zach Taylor with a single with Daniel Curtin. And, of course, for Melbourne, Jake Melsham best for them with 4 goals. Jacob Van Ruin with 2, with Kaiser Pickett, and singles to Tom Sparrow, Trent Rivers, Bailey Fritz. Looking at the ball getters out there today, only one topped the 30 disposal mark today, and that was Jack Viney of Melbourne. Pretty good game from him, as always. 11 kicks, 19 handballs, 4 marks, 9 tackles, 4 clearances. Jake Bowie next best on 26. James Peatling and Jordan Dawson were the best for Adelaide on 25 touches there. We'll just roll on down there. Steve May was pretty good also for Melbourne on 23. Benny Keys with 23 also, 2 goals, 3. A fantastic effort from him as well. Ranky ended up, as I said, best of the goal scorers out there today with 5 goals, 1. Kicking nice and straight. He had a great game. Certainly put Adelaide alight there with his 16 disposals, 5-1 off his 11 kicks. So that was great news. Max Gawn, well, it was a little bit off today, but it wasn't too bad of a game. We all know Max usually has a ring-a-ding-ding game. 16 disposals for Maxi Gawn, 11 kicks, 5 handballs, 27 hitouts, 4 clearances. So normally you'd say, yeah, that's a pretty good game. But there we go. Jake Lever there for Melbourne, 14 disposals, 10 marks for him. Riley O'Brien for Adelaide, 10 disposals, the other ruckman, 34 hitouts, so he did a great job as well. Tex Walker, he just ended up with his 2 goals from his 7 kicks. And Riley Thilthorpe, a couple of quiet games looking for him. He needs to have a breakout game next week, certainly against the Western Bulldogs. That's going to be certainly a tougher opponent next week, and that's definitely a game both teams have to win. That's a game they have to win next week, even though we've got still about 6 rounds to go or 7 rounds to go. If Adelaide win next week, that'll certainly cement themselves in the top 4. If they don't, they'll be definitely left vulnerable to that position there. Just looking at the team stats, let me just reload that up. It hasn't reloaded. There we go. Melbourne actually won by about, 67 odd disposals overall. Inside 50s, Adelaide had 55 inside 50s, right on their season average for 25 scoring shots. Melbourne under season average with just 42 inside 50s for their 22 scoring shots. So Adelaide did quite well in preventing Melbourne from getting in there. It was a great job by the mids from Adelaide. Disposal efficiency, pretty good for both teams, 72.5, 74. Free kicks, nothing much really in that there. Pretty well umpired game. 17 to 15 plus 2 to Melbourne, except for that 1 goal that Adelaide were given. The umpire called it touch behind, but the review turned it over, and you could certainly see a little bit of deviation off the Melbourne's hands there, so they got that one wrong. Who knows in that part of the moment where momentum swings can happen, but that certainly rocked the boat of Melbourne. The review turning that over and calling it a goal when it should have been a behind. Stoppages, Adelaide on top there by 9, 39 to 9. Clearances were plus 6. Centre clearances, Adelaide on top there, the plus 5, 14 to 9. There was just 1 in the stoppage clearances. Pretty well contested game by both teams, only for the difference. Uncontested, Melbourne did a little bit of that chipping game around in certain parts of the game, so they were plus 63. Their turnovers pretty high for both teams, 81, 79. With their uncontested possessions, of course, Melbourne's going to have more the marks, about 29 plus marks, but the marks inside 50, really good to Adelaide. 17 marks inside 50, just the 8 to Melbourne. So Adelaide certainly delivered the ball certainly a lot better to their forwards inside 50, which is really, really important. You don't want to be just bombing the ball in there long, and your defenders certainly easy spoiling it and rebounding at a defensive 50. So Adelaide did a fantastic job there. 17 marks inside 50. Just looking at the tackle count there, look, both teams were pretty low on their tackle counts, 50, 53, both under season average. Tackles inside 50, also well below at 5 apiece. But that are your player stats, folks, and of course your team stats. Adelaide were just too good, too strong, too classy on this game today. And of course, as we said, looking at that ladder now, we've got the top 5 now go a game clear of 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. All them vying for a a spot in the top 8, but certainly going to be interesting games as we have a look at the games coming up next week while we just keep it on the ladder there for the moment. Of course, Carlton will be taking on the Brisbane Lions next week at Marvel Stadium next Thursday night football. That's a game that everyone in the top 8 will be certainly hoping Carlton can change their form around and have a win over the Lions. Of course, Friday night football, you got the Gold Coast Suns taking on Collingwood, People First Stadium up there in Brisbane. That's a game that I actually think the Gold Coast Suns can win. I think they can topple the league ladders up there at home. It's just one of those games I feel that Collingwood just might let slip. And, you always got to have a loss here or there. So I think this might be the game for Collingwood to give up to the Gold Coast Suns, which probably isn't going to be the best for the teams around the Gold Coast Suns, that's for sure. And, of course, the big game next Saturday afternoon, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time, where the Western Bulldogs will take on the Adelaide Crows. That will be a monster game for the Adelaide Crows. If they can certainly win that one, that will probably just about cement them in the top 4. And of course, another big game coming up next Saturday is the GWS Giants sitting in there in 8th. They'll be taking on Geelong sitting there in 4th. So another big game. We got some lot of big games coming up, folks, of course. And then we've got Richmond taking on Essendon. But next Saturday night, this instead of doing Richmond and Essendon, which I know will get good coverage, certainly get good coverage. I'll do this game next week. Fremantle taking on Hawthorn. Fremantle there sitting in 9th position. Taking on the Hawks sitting there in 5th. That's a home game for the Dockers. This will be a season-defining game for Fremantle. If Fremantle can't win this game, then I think it's just about lights out for Fremantle. No matter what, they certainly had their chance today. They need to win and beat the sides in the top 8. So that's a must-win against Hawthorn there. And, of course, Hawthorn, for them, they need a win as well because their percentage is a little bit low. And, of course, next Sunday, Melbourne taking on North Melbourne. St Kilda taking on Sydney, and Port Adelaide taking on the West Coast Eagles to wrap round 18 up next Sunday. But those are the games next week. We got coming for you. I'll tell you what, there's going to be a huge round of football, round 18 coming up your way. And as I said, it starts Thursday night where Carlton take on the Brisbane Lions. So I'll tell you what, we got some ring-a-ding-ding games coming up next week, folks. A few of the top 8 sides or the top 9 playing each other. Tell you what, we're in for a fantastic round. This is going to be probably the round of the rounds for a few weeks. Of course, this could certainly chop and change the top 8, where they sit on the ladder. And this could be the round that everyone looks back on and goes, this is a game that got us into the top 8 because we won or got us into the finals. Or this could be the round that put us out of the finals, looking back on it. But I tell you what, another great round of football. Round 17 complete. So there we go. All right, that's all I've got for everyone for this coverage. Thanks everyone for popping on in. As I said, we had the poll in there, and of course it was 64% did say the Adelaide Crows were going to win this game. So well done to everyone in the live chat. We got that one right, and of course we'll be back again Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Melbourne time. Here at Marvel Stadium, where Carlton will take on the Brisbane Lions in a good clash, interesting clash. Of course, Carlton might topple the tables on Brisbane, but it's certainly a game Brisbane's expected to win. So we'll see everyone there. All right, folks, that's it from me. I'm over and out. So until Thursday night, ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.